and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to episode 128 of NerdPod Generations. As always, I am one of your illustrious, well, I don't want to say as always because I missed last week, but I am one of your illustrious hosts, Steve Taylor, along with the lovely Al Jetsam.
Hello, friends and enemies.
It's good to see you, buddy.
We're doing it again.
We had a week.
Oh,
I don't even want to bring up what it was. It was a family
matter.
Last week. Craziness.
Yeah,
but we're back.
We did it. We made it.
We made it.
And it was a bonkers week for everybody involved. A lot of stuff happening, a lot of moving parts, but we made it.
Yes.
It's the kind of week where we spent 3 weeks talking about like how great it is to record earlier on a Sunday.
Yeah, I know.
And it's 8 o'clock because it's just so hard.
I had to take everyone bowling. Next week we're going to be hopefully doing like a 5 o'clock show because I actually am working Sunday for the first time in a while.
Oh.
But I have the 5 a.m. inventory on Monday, so I'll probably come in right from work to here, so it'll be like a 5 o'clock recording.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't even know how we're going to talk about it.
You're going to get off at like 4 and then go back in at 5 a.m.?
Yeah.
That sucks.
You know what? It sounds like it sucks, but I have those memories of working at a restaurant where I got out at 2 a.m. and had to be back at 6 a.m.
Yeah, the full turn and burn.
Where I just slept in my car in the parking lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is...
comparatively,
just
more
getting
tolerable.
up at 3:30 sucks.
Yeah.
It just sucks. Anyway, so folks, we are back 100%. We have a lot to talk about today.
Oh my God.
Maybe not as much as... We have a plan B in case plan A doesn't go as long as we think it will. We're just going to stick with plan A.
We got a runway. We got like an hour and change long runway.
Yes.
And we think we're going to use all of it.
I think so, too.
And then the show we had planned that we've been kind of hinting at.
It's kind of like the James Bond show.
Well, it's funny that it's Groundhog's Day.
Yes, that's
I think
true.
I think it's incredibly apropos that it's Groundhog's
funny.
Day. But that is its own like hour-long show, so if we end up going over an hour, we might not go all the way in on Mr. Murray and
so we'll figure that out. But it's I'm grateful that you did a football show talking about the Super Bowl because
you didn't have to watch the Super Bowl.
My niece desperately wanted a Super Bowl party. Mm-hmm. So I went to my brother's house. So I had to watch the first half, which I was not happy that I did because I really didn't want to watch that game. Mm-hmm. But then I didn't watch anything else. I know who won because it's impossible to live without knowing who won. I didn't pay attention to anything else. You know, it's like I'm grateful that you were able to talk about it because I mean all I did see was a lot of the commercials, which is what we're going to be talking about.
That's actually the big part of the show this week is we got a lot of... Did we start this show based on superhero news? Because we're getting back to our roots.
Oh my God. There's so much superhero news. So the main topic and segment that we're probably going to be talking about is what we've been watching, playing, reading, which we're just going to include a lot of the trailers. Before we get into that, I just wanted to bring up two things. One, Tears of the Kingdom is officially my favorite game ever. I keep playing that game, and my goal now is to get all the shrines so you get the special armor.
Kelly did that.
Yes, so that's my goal now. And as I'm going, I have probably 120, 130 hours into this game. I'm shocked that I'm still finding shit that I had no idea.
Yeah. And
it's like last night, I unlocked, I can't even remember what the hell it was. I was playing with my son, and I'm like, how did I not know this was here?
Yeah.
Like, I'm finding shit that I had no idea existed.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've been putting 100 hours in this game, and I'm pretty thorough. Like, I go through each thing. And I have pure joy with this game, and I'm so grateful for it, and I'm very happy for it, and I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, I've taken a nice long break. I got to go back to it at some point. Right now I'm treating it kind of like Scott Pilgrim.
Okay.
When I first saw Scott Pilgrim, I loved it so much that I watched it with a bunch of different people. Mm-hmm. So I saw it like 6 times in 5 weeks or something like that, and after that I needed a little break.
Yeah.
So I didn't hate that movie, and Tears of the Kingdom, I enjoy it. I still have my gripes with it, but I do want to go back and see if when there's less at stake, if those gripes are as heavily indented in my brain, in my experience.
Well, I guess the best way to describe my love for it is I never want to finish it.
Yeah.
I just want to keep playing it.
I knew a lot of people that had that experience with Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Where they just kept on putting off actually finishing the game.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever finish it, to be honest with you. I'm just having so much fun just running around doing shit.
Yeah.
Like, it really is. It's stupid fun. The only other thing I want to talk about is I'm a big fan of Reacher. So, for those of you who don't know, Jack Reacher was a Lee Childs, I believe, is the author.
I always thought it was Tom Clancy. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Tom Cruise did.
He played a version of the character.
He did the movies actually called Jack Reacher. He did 2 of them. The first one I actually really liked. The second one not so much. The big gripe, Lee Child was the author. The big gripe was he was not the right size.
He's very much not the right size.
Well, let me tell you, they found the right size.
Yeah, they did.
Alan Ritchson is and for those of you who might not know who he is, he was in the last Fast and the Furious movie, and he's going to be in that movie we talked about with
Ungentlemanly Warfare.
Ungentlemanly Warfare. The first season was good. It was it had a little bit of a feeling of like a TV series. Like I kind of wanted to get more of a cinematic vibe.
Okay.
Second season got that.
Oh, okay.
And what I appreciated about the second season is, yes, he is a detective, but he's known also for bashing people's heads in.
Yeah.
And this season laid into the 80s action movie tropes.
He's a detective like Jim Hopper is a detective.
Pretty much.
This is my first question. Bam. Here's my second question. Bam.
Well, like one of his lines, a little girl, like her mom and her were on the run from the bad guys, and she asked him, well, what are you going to do when you find him? He's like, well, we're going to kill more people. And he says it just like his whole thing is the basis of this season is he was part of this. He ran this unit in the Army. It was an investigation unit, and 2 of the people in the unit were killed in the same way. And it seemed like they were knocking off people in the unit. So him and 3 members of his unit that were still alive get together, and they start investigating what happened. And once they realize who the bad guys are, his mentality is, great, now I'm going to kill every single one of them for hurting my friends and going after me. Yeah. And it's, there are some smart moments, but there's a lot of just really cool beating up people moments. Yeah. So it's like, I get that little bit of the action movie, and he's great.
I mean, part of the fun of Predator is when they go into that guerrilla camp. Like, that's part of the fun. That has
nothing to do with it.
It has nothing to do with anything that's going on, except that we need to find out about the deceit of Dylan. Yeah. And otherwise, it has nothing to do with anything.
It has one of the best lines in the movie when Arnold Schwarzenegger sticks the knife through the guy and says, stick around. It's like, that is the best thing I've ever heard right there.
I'll never get over, I ain't got time to bleed.
Oh, that's right. Well, you got time to duck. Great story. This is a nice little tangent. I heard a story from Jesse Ventura that he would go into the wardrobe every day, and they had written on the wall like the body part sizes of all the actors to kind of figure out. And Arnold had talked the woman into making his arms a little smaller than Jesse Ventura's on the sheet. So Jesse Ventura once was bragging to him during the filming of the movie, and Schwarzenegger says, I'll bet you a couple bottles of champagne that mine are bigger. And they measured him, and Arnold's was like 2 inches bigger, and he's like, I got you. So
also,
I love
that way
story.
You get tighter shirts.
Well, that too. Yeah. Well, that too. And that red shirt he was wearing when they did the famous handshake.
Yeah. Son of a bitch.
That thing was fucking tight as shit. Yeah, so Reacher, great show. Like I said, the first season was a little more cerebral. It is still really good, and I love this guy. Like, I absolutely love this actor. I'm really invested in, and I've seen interviews with him, and I'm really invested in more stuff that he's done. He just actually did Jimmy Fallon? Him and his wife were on a date, and some guy came out of a car with these duffel bags, and he's like, I think that dude broke into that car and stole, and he ran by them. So she's like, don't. He's like, I got to. And so he ran after the dude, and when he caught up to the guy, they were running, and the guy balled his fist, and he's like, dude, don't. And the guy swung, and he grabbed him and threw him into a wall, and he stopped the dude. He stopped the robbery. But it's like, if you saw this man, I don't care if he's an actor, I would not poke the bear. No. Literally. Because he is a monster.
If he is an actor, that means he's being trained by really professional people how to hurt someone without actually hurting someone. Yes. Because when you're a stunt fighter, you're never actually trying to hurt someone, but you still got to make it look like you could hurt someone.
Exactly.
And, throwing a person into a wall, real easy to do at full speed.
Yeah. Stunt guy would know how to roll out of it. This guy did not.
This guy didn't.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan. I just wanted to bring that up. I know those aren't things we usually talk about, but
It's in that wheelhouse.
it is. It's and I'll be honest, the last like 2 seasons of Jack Ryan, which I did like the first couple seasons on Amazon, man, they kind of jumped the shark. So seeing a different show in that same kind of vein, I am enjoying it.
I think it's super telling that because I also agree with you. I really liked the first season of Jack Ryan. I liked the second season. I thought they were still very strong, very close to what they were trying to do. And then third season kind of started moving away. We had a whole show about how like he stopped being an analyst and he started being a man of action. And it's like, well, that's the thing about Jack Ryan is that he's an analyst. He's not supposed to be a man of action. And I haven't watched season 4 yet. And I think that's extremely telling.
We watched 1 episode and I was like, I kind of sucked. And then we have never gone back.
Yeah. So someday I will. But in the same way that someday I did end up seeing the Chris Pine Jack Ryan movie, it just took a really, really long time for me to get there.
And it wasn't bad. Like I liked it better than the Ben Affleck one.
Yeah, I think I like them about the same. I think they're about on par. I like the Ben Affleck one just because they have the guts to blow up a nuke in Baltimore.
Yeah.
I think that's really like, we were talking about bold moves in film before the show started. I think that's a really bold move to actually have the nuke go off.
Yeah.
But I don't like Kevin Costner and the Chris Pine. I think he's terribly miscast. He should not be there. I didn't mind Kenneth Branagh, and I thought
he was all right.
I don't know if Kenneth Branagh also directed it or not, but like
I think he did.
I think he did too.
Yeah.
I liked it just fine. I definitely got to the end of it and I was like, I want a little more out of this. And Hunt for Red October, I remember so many small details.
I fucking love that movie.
I don't remember an ounce of the plot.
Oh, it's such a great movie.
Ghost Protocol or whatever. No, that was a Mission Impossible movie.
That's Mission Impossible.
See,
my favorite is Patriot Games. Patriot Games is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
Because Harrison Ford is so good in it, and I love Samuel L. Jackson, and just the story, and Sean Bean, of course, dies because he has to.
I just love the moment where Han Solo wags a finger aggressively at Dumbledore.
Oh, that's right.
Because that's Richard Harris.
That is Richard Harris. When you said Dumbledore, I'm like, Gambone was it? Oh, that's right.
I will make it my mission.
Fucking love that.
Love
that. It's so
good.
good. Yeah, no, that's a movie that unfortunately a lot of people haven't seen. Oh, dude, heartbreaking. Yeah. I am working now. He might even listen to this. And Johnny, shout out to you. A new coordinator, so it's like an assistant manager type thing at the cheese department. It's this 20-year-old kid. I really like his name's Johnny. This kid has no shit about movies. He hasn't. Okay, here's the I asked him if he's ever seen Pulp Fiction, and he goes, "I know of Tarantino." I was like,
"You know of Tarantino?"
He's only seen Kill Bill Volume 1, and I'm just like, "Dude, you're breaking every ounce of my heart."
Hey, you remember when you met me and I hadn't seen any Tarantino, and our friend loaned me a bunch of Tarantino movies, and I watched like Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction and just a bunch of these early Tarantino movies, like in a week-long span.
Yes.
I came back to class the next week, and I was like, well, that was the thing. That's a lot.
That'll open your eyes to a lot of shit.
I'll never get over. I still, to this day, think when things are going badly in video games of Harvey Keitel. You're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. Tell it to me. Say it back. You're gonna be okay.
Well, this summer's the 30th anniversary of Pulp Fiction.
Really?
30th.
Yeah, that
you
makes
believe
sense.
that shit?
I do.
30 effing years.
Yeah. No, it changed the game.
Still blows my mind.
Yeah.
And I still, to this day, when you watch that opening credits, that movie was made because of Danny DeVito.
Yep.
One of the producers. Yep. It's like, I love Danny DeVito.
I know. Danny DeVito, the secret sauce of really Hollywood for the last 40 years.
Shout out to Death to Smoochie, which is one of the more underrated comedies. I fucking love that movie.
Oh, man. I've never been able to make it all the way through Death to Smoochie.
No?
It's just too many. It's too many hats on too many hats on too many hats.
Robin Williams, one of my favorite Robin Williams movies. He's so fucking out of his mind in that movie.
He's too out of his mind.
So you don't even see the end then. That's even more out of his mind. He's kind of like Schmeagol at the end where he has the golem still inside him. Oh, where he burns his nuts.
Talking to himself. And it's a whole thing. It's like out of that or Fisher King, I'll take Fisher King. Thank you very much.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, come on now.
Same conceit, different tone.
Fisher King is a true masterpiece where you know, Death to Smoochie's kind of up there with
Death to
Zohan
Smoochie is
with
Death
me. You
to
know, it's like,
Smoochie.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
Edward Norton's a fucking purple rhino, for Christ's
Yeah.
sake. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
come on now. I mean, what are you gonna do about
With
that?
dick cookies and.
Oh my god, it's a rocket ship. I fucking love that. Okay, we're gonna stay on target. Like they say in Star Wars, stay on target.
Stay on target.
All right,
Almost there. Stay
so
on target. I can't hold him. I've been continuing through Baldur's Gate.
oh, nice.
It has been an interesting experience.
I heard it was patched. Is it still as glitchy?
It's still very glitchy.
Still very glitchy. Okay.
There are some elements that seem different. The text in the books is bigger, so it's easier to read when you pick up books.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, that's something. But I still had that moment that you all developers dread. I got to a cutscene.
Mm.
It was a story cutscene that you have to sit through, and there's a woman guard basically telling you can't enter this town because there's too many refugees, and we are tired of vagrants, and we don't think you're going to be able to be an upstanding citizen. And so you have to kind of try and negotiate your way in town. And then this big robot comes up and is like, your brain scan is weird. I'm going to arrest you, and you can either fight her or you can get arrested. Thing about this, though, the guard that you have to talk to at the very beginning to start all of this action, her face had like a, you know, in the Nolan Dark Knight, you know, Two-Face, where you can see his teeth. So she had that, and you could just see her teeth going through her skin, and then her cheek, where it should have been, was going all the way to the horizon in the opposite direction. And I reloaded this scene at least 4 times trying to get the dialogue just where I wanted it, and because I got caught stealing stuff after the fight and all these other things, so I was like, okay, I'll just redo the fight again. It wasn't a big deal. But I kept on having to restart it, and every single time it did that. And I was just like, this is a scene that you have to sit through in order to get through the story of the game. How did this not get caught by now?
That's amazing.
So I like it for certain things. It's still a glitchy mess at times. And then it did the one thing that I just cannot abide by.
What's that?
Which is I got to the 3rd chapter of the game, and they hadn't done it in a big serious way.
Okay.
But they officially made it so I can't go to any of the locations from the first 2 acts of the game.
Okay.
So you have all these waypoints that you set up throughout the first 2 acts, and there's a bunch of other side missions and things. And at some point, they're like, hey, you're about to enter this new area. Just FYI, some of the missions aren't going to be doable anymore. And I'm like, okay, you know, whatever, I understand. Well, apparently that includes just going back in general. You can't go back there to go to any shops. You can't go back there to revisit any people you met. You can't go back there to talk to family members of people you've saved who asked you to go and find them.
Oh, that's fucking stupid.
You can't go back and do, if you missed any secrets or anything that you wanted to get, you can't go back and do it because you're fully locked into this new chapter.
That's fucking dumb.
When I tried to go back earlier in the game, they were like, you're at a part in the story where you really can't go back right now, so we're going to make it so you can't go back and go to the previous section of the game. And I took that as like, oh, so once I'm done with this section, I will be able to. No. You are stuck. This is the track that you were on, and even if you wanted to go back and just visit the areas that you had gone to before, can't do it.
Yeah.
Can't do it. And it that just pisses me right off.
That's obnoxious.
Because it's just like, well, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck? What, like, I knew that this could happen, but I assumed I would still be able to go there. Even if I can't do the missions anymore, I still thought I was going to be able to go there.
I mean, you look at a game in the similar vein, Skyrim, that came out 15 years ago now.
Yeah.
You could revisit anything.
Exactly. They never locked you out of anywhere once you got there.
That's crazy that would happen in a game nowadays.
It's crazy to me that they would do this, that they would lock you out of not just like the beginning of the game tutorial area. They lock you out of the entire first 2 chapters of the game. You can't go back and do any of that stuff. If you wanted to go loot some stuff that you had left behind because you didn't have room for it, or you were worried about getting caught, and you just don't care anymore because you killed all those guys' bosses and you don't care if they fight you anymore, doesn't matter. You can't go back and do it. You want to go try and save these people that you had, you know, you missed a clue on. There's a little tiefling girl that I wanted to find that I didn't pick up one little tiny clue, which had no indicator that it was going to be important. It was she had an eye patch, and at one point in a fortress, I found a bunch of different things that were just like random assortments of junk, and one of them was an eye patch.
Okay.
Well, I was supposed to pick that up, and because I didn't, now that quest line is just kind of this hanging Chad. And I'm like, I could just go back. No, you can't. We locked the door. Why? But why?
Can you imagine the frustrations of the people who created that content?
Yeah.
And wanted you to be able to revisit it because
now
they
you just
spent
gotta
all
replay the game. Just start the game again.
Who wants to fucking restart
I
that
know.
shit? Like I said, I love Tears of the Kingdom right now. Once I fucking finish this game, I don't know when I'm going to start it again.
That's the thing is, when are you going to go back and start it all over again? You can play it forever, but when are you going to go back and start it all over again?
Yeah.
Very rarely am I ever going
And
to
then
really
if you
go
do,
back.
you know you have that to look forward to. So what is the extra push to go back and do it?
So now I'm going to be more pedantic about going through every tiny little thing. And it's just going to completely change the tenor and style at which I play the game. So it's just like, is it a big deal? I guess in the grand scheme of things, it's not a big deal, but it's a really dumb decision.
That's really
that
dumb.
I don't understand. Like, it can't be like a game memory thing.
Yeah.
You know, making it so I can't go back to the first part of the game doesn't make the game any smaller. So what do you achieve by doing this? I fully can't understand it. You know, if I go to... I haven't been to California since I was 8 years old. I've lived a very long life since then. I can still go to California if I want to.
Yeah, you would be free to.
Exactly. So, like, why am I not allowed to go back to this goblin palace to make sure there wasn't anything I missed?
That's fucked up, man.
It's bullshit.
That's really screwy.
It's bullshit. So the other thing I wanted to talk about before we get into trailers in earnest, me and Kelly went to see
the Eastman Film and Media Ensemble
perform La La Land in concert, which was a very interesting experience.
That sounds interesting.
I thought that it was going to be just them playing the music, and there was a moment where we were like, oh, it's a musical, but like there's really only a lot of parts for two people, and so how's that going to work? What it actually was, they show the entire movie.
I was wondering if they screened the movie.
They've removed all the background music, and they play all the music live.
Oh, interesting.
And what was interesting about it in terms of the performance. The performance was amazing. They had really great people, including a lot of professors, doing some really amazing work. It was a little strange because they had like what would you say, like a 12-person chorus, maybe?
Like 8 people.
And they didn't have anything to do because they didn't take out the sections where Emma Stone or Ryan Gosling are singing.
Oh, weird.
They left those in. And so it was just any time more than one person was singing, you'd have this chorus start singing. But even at the beginning of the movie, that first number, when those solos are going on, those aren't being sung live. But then the interstitial moments between are being sung live.
Interesting.
It was an interesting choice. I don't, whatever. I don't know why you would do it that way, but whatever, it's fine. But man, I love that movie. It was really nice just to go back and watch it again and, just discover and pick up so many more new things that I had just not really thought about, in terms of how the characters develop and treat each other and behave. I'd always been more connected to Emma Stone's character because she's into movies, and I like music. It's not like I don't like music, but I'm not passionate about music. And so watching it this time and seeing kind of the progression of Ryan Gosling's character, and especially after they break up, and seeing like the way that he goes about things isn't the usual Hollywood, oh, I gotta get the girl back. He's just like, this is the right thing to do for a person I genuinely care about. And then when she gets the audition and everything, she's like, what's our relationship? And he says, we're breaking up. Like, I'm not gonna be the reason you don't get a chance to do the thing you want to do most. And it just, looking at so many movies that have come out since then, I mean, it was 7 years ago, which doesn't feel like a very long time, but also feels like an extremely long time.
A million years ago.
It just, like, I wish we saw this more. It was also very interesting after watching Barbie, where you have Ken doing all of his Ken things, and then you have Ryan Gosling here basically refuting everything that Ken believes. And it was a really nice thing to go back to. I hadn't seen it in a few years. It meant a lot to me when I first saw it, and it was one of my top 10 movies when it first came out. And while it's still within the top 20 maybe top 30. I just really love it. It just makes me so happy. And there's so many little homages to things, right down to the idea that they keep on bringing up Casablanca in little tiny vignette ways of just kind of like offhandedly mentioning it. And you don't really think about it at the end, but she goes into his gin joint. You know, of all the gin joints in the world, she walks into his. And it's just one more little thing. Plus, nothing will ever say old Hollywood like shots of champagne glasses fully overflowing into each other. That says golden age of musicals right there to me.
Oh, yeah. No, that's how you end a movie.
Yeah. So, La La Land, good movie.
Sounds like fun.
Baldur's Gate, interesting decisions. Not necessarily bad.
Still not game of the fucking year.
This is my thing, is that as good as it is at times, I don't think it's game of the year. I don't know what game of the year would have been, but I don't think it's this.
Well, you know what I think of it.
Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah. I did want to, before we go into trailers, we should talk about Madam Web.
Okay.
And we aren't going to review it because neither of us have seen it.
No.
And we're
going to review the fallout.
As previously mentioned for the Marvels, we don't review reviews.
Yes.
But
we can discuss.
We have to talk about it.
Yes.
We have to talk about what's happening. To anybody who doesn't know what's happening, it's a shit show. It's a full-blown shit show.
Like bad.
Dakota Johnson, the lead, has gone full Ian McKellen and said, I don't know if it's a good movie. I don't know if I'll ever watch it. It's pretty bad. It seems pretty bad. There was so much green screen. I have no idea how my performance was.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't care. And just like so much bad news. You were telling me that they redubbed Ezekiel's lines.
Yes.
And did it about as good as they did with Bane, except that Bane still had a mask over his mouth.
Yeah.
And so that's a problem.
So that's a big problem.
That's going to be a problem.
And it was, and once again, I'm not just going off of reviews because I've actually heard a couple discussions where the reviewers actually couldn't review it because they weren't sure what they watched.
Yeah.
And it's things like, in the trailer you see the Spider Women, and that whole part is one dream of Ezekiel's. There's no other part in the movie where they're in the costumes.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
100%. Not even a single bit.
No, I'm sure.
And
I'd be amazed if she had a costume outside of the red coat that she stole from Julia Carpenter.
Yeah, but it's crazy. Like some of the things that they've discussed is Looney Tunes. Like literally, I want to see it just because I don't know if I can believe some of the things I've heard.
Yeah.
Because what I heard, if it is true, this could go down as the worst movie ever made.
What specifically did you hear that is making you think this?
Well, in the beginning, the mother who's pregnant, like really pregnant, is going through the rainforest with Ezekiel, and he kills everybody and shoots her, and she's rescued by spider people and gives birth. And next thing, Dakota Johnson is an EMT in New York City. So it's kind of like the Jesus thing where it's like, here's his birth. Well, you don't know anything. Now they're in their 30s. And this is where they are now. And
that's fucking dumb.
It's really dumb. But then there's just, the special effects are
of course bad.
Terrible. The product placement, Pepsi is supposedly, in fact, and folks, this is a spoiler if you want to see it. The main villain dies by a Pepsi sign falling on him. And once again, I'm hearing this hearsay.
Yeah.
But I trust these sources.
That's the thing, is that all the people that are saying this, I trust more than I trust Sony.
Exactly.
And by like a country mile.
And it's just like the dialogue is horrifically bad.
Yeah.
Like people are saying, there's always that rumor going around that ChatGPT is writing movies. They're like, this is the first one that I think there is no doubt that ChatGPT, even though the people that wrote this also wrote Morbius, and we know how well that turned out.
Why would you hire them again?
I don't understand. Unless this was like they had wrote it before Morbius came out or something. I don't know.
Even if we go to the usual that is that the Sony executives are ruining the product, which is an easy assumption to make. They have made it their mission to do this, to fucking get in there and scramble on things and make them worse as a result. I'm not blaming the writers, but I'm just gonna say as bad as it could have been because of production. It's not like the story that we were given on Morbius was any good to begin with.
That's true.
And so it's hard for me to even be like, yeah, the writers were good too. It's not their fault. They might have had their hands tied at various points. You know, they may have been told that they have to do something. But ultimately, the product that we were given still sucks.
The thing that I really want to see, and if this, and I believe this is true because you see it in the trailers, Ezekiel walks around without shoes on.
Yeah, that's canon.
But he then changes into his suit, which has...
Yeah, you know what's stupid about that?
feet.
He didn't have a suit in the comics. He never wore a costume in the comics.
And that's what all the reviewers were saying was dumb. It's like, if you're going to have him walk around without shoes, why does he change into a costume that's obviously supposedly under his suit, and then it has shoes?
Yeah.
That doesn't really
That
make
looks like
sense.
a Spider-Man costume.
Exactly. It looks just like Spider-Man.
It looks like a knockoff of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting here like, this all sucks. And then I had the moment today where I was bursting around online, and I saw that they've scrapped the entire writer's room of Silk in response to this movie.
Yeah.
To which I say, oh no. Oh no. Oh no, no. Oh, don't. No. Leave her out of this. You don't need to. You don't know. Cindy Moon hasn't done anything to you. Okay? If you want to put Cindy Moon in the Spider-Verse movies, I am all for it, baby. If you want to put Cindy Moon in the MCU movies, that could be fun. That could be a thing. That could be really interesting, especially since we didn't see Peter get bit by his spider.
Yeah.
For anybody who doesn't know, Cindy Moon is Silk. Silk is a character who was a classmate of Peter Parker. She is bitten on the same field trip by the same spider as Peter Parker. But Ezekiel, who is the avatar of the spider, he senses her presence, and basically finds a way to kidnap her and hold her underground for an undisclosed period of time, because comic books time doesn't mean anything.
That doesn't mean shit.
So you don't know. You could say she was down there for 40 years, but she really wasn't canonically. Was she down there for 5 years? I think in canon, the 60s was 10 years ago in the comics. Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense, because of course it doesn't, because how fucking could it? Anyway, I love Silk. Silk is amazing. Silk is so cool and so badass, and she's just this amazing mirror to Peter Parker's character. I had thought, you brought in Ezekiel, it would make sense if you have Silk here somewhere. Man, I really hoped you had just left her alone.
Well, they need to leave everyone alone. Sony, I hate the fact that Venom did so well the first one, because the second one didn't do well.
No. They haven't.
They need to stop making superhero movies.
Yeah.
Because this one's going to get bombed. You know damn well Kraven the Hunter's not going to do well. Oh. So you're going to go Morbius, Madam Web, Kraven the Hunter, Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage. All of them massive bombs.
Yeah.
Stop fucking making movies, Sony. Stop.
Stop trying.
No superhero movies.
No. Stop.
Fucking
also,
stop.
Here's a crazy notion. It turns out that even if you have the greatest rogues gallery in the world, usually you don't tune in just for the rogues.
Yeah.
You know, when you're watching a Batman movie, I know some people are watching it for the Joker, but you're also kind of watching it for Batman.
Yeah.
Right? Like when you're watching The Batman from a few years ago, you're watching it just as much for the Batman as you are for the Riddler, probably more so.
Yeah.
The Riddler is kind of this foil, but you're really watching it for Batman. I can't imagine why all these movies who have taken out the central character that ties all of them together aren't working. It's crazy to me that none of this is working. Also, here's a concept for you. Have Madam Web be a celestial being. Here's an idea. Crazy notion for you. Maybe just stick with that one. Okay? If you want to have her be Julia Carpenter, that's fine. Then you can have Dakota Johnson be Julia Carpenter, and she's the second Madam Web, and she's taking over for the old Madam Web, who has become displeased with Ezekiel for whatever reason, and also you can do the Inheritors. If you really want to, you could do the Inheritors. Or the Beyonder. You could do the Beyonder.
Oh my
There's
God.
so many things you could do, and you're doing none of them. And I cannot stand it.
I don't want they can't do the Beyonder, because
Not now they can.
I'm still holding out hope that Secret Wars is going to include the Beyonder,
I mean, how could it not? I guess if you do the
Come
new
on, we're
Secret
talking about
Wars.
MCU.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you're talking, because they would, I want them to scrap the Venom 3, which unfortunately they're fucking making, do Secret Wars, and reboot the symbiote to the way he actually fucking came about during Secret Wars when Peter Parker's on a different fucking planet.
Yeah. And not the retcon where Deadpool put him on first and then put him back in the machine. I hate these retcons.
That's fucking stupid.
I hate that this nonsense with
The Clintar,
where they are now this hive mind that can communicate multidimensionally. I hate it.
Yeah,
listen,
it's fucking stupid.
I hate it. It's so fucking dumb and it doesn't make any fucking sense. And I hate it. I hate it so fucking much. It's stupid and it's dumb and I hate it.
Yeah.
I look at this. I'm still mad that they aren't doing Ben Reilly. If you need you have a Spider-Man you can use. Like, it's not even like you can't use a Spider-Man. There's one right here.
Well, they could do a fucking Miles Morales movie.
You could do anything.
Yeah.
Like, you could do so many things. I would take Spider-Man at this point. Spider-Man, for anybody who doesn't know, is if Aunt May got bit by the spider.
About that.
Okay? So, like, I'm serious. I'm so fucking done with this shit.
But you're right, though. It's like, if you want to make a movie that you're guaranteed to sell billions of dollars in tickets, you make a Miles Morales Spider-Man movie and say it's not part of the MCU, it's not part of Across the Spider-Verse. It's just we're rebooting the Spider-Man franchise in our universe. You can have Tom Holland's Spider-Man MCU. We're creating Miles Morales and say it's in a different universe if you ever want to do a cross thing.
See, Miles has been in a lot of shit the
But
last
see,
5
that's
years.
the thing, though. It's like, you already have the introduction to him in the animated and in the fucking video game. It's
But
like you have
I
it
think
set
it's almost
up.
too much. Like, listen, I
It
come
could
from,
be.
I
It
come
could
from
be.
a point of view of Spider-Man was ruined when Sony decided after Spider-Man 3 that great power, great responsibility was too tawdry and we needed to not include it, or at least not directly reference it.
Yeah.
It's like taking Batman's parents' murder out.
Yeah.
It's not like having them not go to the Zorro, but they still get killed. No, this is a fully different fucking thing if you take this element out of the story. Ever since then, there's only been problems. Whether it's the stupid Martin Sheen arguing with Peter and trying to convince him without saying great power, great responsibility to do the right thing, or whether it's the fact that Tom Holland doesn't seem to have any conceit of that on any philosophical level.
I wonder
until
why
the
he doesn't
end.
have conceit about that.
I don't know. It's almost like he doesn't have
Do you
an
think
uncle.
an Uncle Ben? You don't need Uncle Ben to be Spider-Man.
But he had that one suitcase that had BP on it.
Oh,
so
that's
he's got to have an
right.
Uncle Ben, even though Aunt May doesn't have a wedding ring and does not show any sign of having been in a serious committed relationship recently, where her husband tragically died in a murder.
And they made her a lot
MILF.
younger and hotter. It's like,
She's not just younger and hotter. She's an open MILF where everybody, the only thing that they say whenever they see her is, man, I want to tap that.
and Happy does. Oh, God,
I
it still
hate
makes
it.
me cringe.
I hate it. From the guy at the Vietnamese restaurant they go to Ned, to fucking everybody is like, man, your aunt,
Yeah.
fucking, dude, that's gotta be tight.
Didn't I see her in The Wrestler and her tits out? To go with this, though, and this does play into the superhero shit we're having now. My son, I am showing him the MCU movies finally.
Okay.
We watched Captain America already, he loved it.
Yes.
The other day we watched Iron Man.
Oh, great.
And after Iron Man, I said to my wife, I was like, it's amazing how good these early movies were.
Yeah.
And it makes you really question how they went so far off track.
They stopped making a movie and they started trying to build
Make a franchise, right?
something where they never had to have the end goal. Like, they took almost the J.J. Abrams approach of there is no answer.
Like Lost.
Just
Gotcha,
keep going.
gotcha.
Just keep going down the path. There is no answer. Just keep going. And that's how they construct their plots.
Yeah.
Does this plot end? I mean, in a way, the villain is defeated, but the larger scope of the plot is not in any way
That
resolved.
could be the whole reason behind the whole multiverse, because they're like, well, if we fuck up, we could just say it was a different universe, and we just
This is the thing.
kind of like Doctor Strange, how they're kind of doing that. now.
They've already shown their hand that they're going to plan on doing incursions. That's how they're going to get the X-Men in. Although I had a thought today, how great would it be if the X-Men appeared because the Hulk snapped them into existence without thinking about it, because Professor Hulk thinks that he has everything under control, but deep down,
That's
deep in the back of his
true.
brain, something still said, I want there to be other crazy
Which,
super people
Tangent
out there."
30, I heard something that did kind of sound cool. Remember when Captain America grabbed Thanos' glove at the end of Infinity War
Yeah.
and then Thanos punches him?
Yeah.
people say now, and this makes sense, that it actually killed him. And when Scarlet Witch destroys the Mind Stone and he returns time, he comes back to life. And it's like, that's kind of cool.
An interesting idea.
Because really, when Thanos punches him, he's done. And you're like, okay, a being like Thanos, regardless if you're Captain America, punches you full in the face, you're going to fucking die.
He fucked up the Hulk.
Yeah. And Thor.
Yeah.
And Captain America's strong, but he ain't fucking Thor. So I was like, that's kind of neat.
That's an interesting idea.
Yeah, he might have killed him.
My argument would be the time seems to be centrally located to the Vision itself. The use of the Time Stone seems to be centrally located. But we also see the
trees come in. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's an interesting idea. It's an interesting idea. Okay. While we're talking about Marvel.
Yes.
Our boy, our daddy, the one that we love.
Deadpool.
Well, we're going to get to him too. Oh my God. Pedro Pascal is going to be Reed Richards. Oh my God.
Oh,
Can I speak Spanish?
I like the casting.
Saba.
Sounds like Spanish to me. I like the casting. I'm just so terrified.
This is exactly what I was going to say. I look down the lineup, all four, and I say, this is all good. It's not going to work. No. One of the movies we were going to talk about is Palm Springs. We still might get to it. We might not. One of the things in that movie is this idea that Andy Samberg is supportive of these different ideas that Christina Maloney comes up with, but ultimately says it won't work. Yeah. It won't do anything. But hey, if you want to spend time on it, great. You go right ahead. And that's kind of where I'm at with this news. Oh, you're going to bring in Pedro Pascal to be Reed Richards? That's interesting. It's not going to work. Oh, and you got Vanessa Kirby? I mean, she's fine. I don't have anything against her. It's not going to work. Oh, and you got Eddie? Eddie's going to play Johnny Storm. Wow, it's not going to work. And you got... Oh, I actually kind of like this. The guy who's going to play Ben Grimm played, what's his nuts in...
Oh, what's his nuts?
In Punisher. Not Modem or Dial-Up. He has some name like that, though.
I know.
Hard Drive or something.
Hard Drive.
But he's going to be the thing. Okay, I like this. It's not going to work.
See, I think a lot of the success of this movie...
Yes.
A lot of the success of this movie, to me, is going to really rely on what what the thing looks like.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna lie, the was it Andrew Tran or who's the Tran, the guy that did the last one?
Oh
the Fantastic Four stick.
What's his nuts? Yeah.
I liked how the thing looked in that. Much better than Michael Chiklis in that awful costume.
He needs pants, dude. Like I get it.
No, he needs pants.
He needs pants.
But like the texture, the actual CGI work,
yes,
actually did look good. And a lot of because they did a good job with the Hulk, not in the She-Hulk TV show, but in the movies they did a good job with the Hulk.
Josh Trank,
thank you. And so a lot of that, I want to see what Johnny Storm's going to look like.
Yep.
As the Human Torch, I want to see, how they do the invisibility of Sue Storm. A lot of the stuff. You have kind of take a mashup of the first two OG movies and the new one, because. I did love the Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
And how they made him look. The Doctor Doom in the OG movies.
Oh, God. I just don't like Julian McMahon.
I know. I didn't like him, but, the look was far superior to Four Stick, which was horrific.
Yes. I mean, everything about Four Stick is horrific.
Yeah.
There's so many elements of Four Stick that just are bad.
It's just really bad.
They're just really, really bad.
A part of me, I saw somebody mention something online, which I hope it is the case. You don't need to hire a great actor to play Doctor Doom, because you should just be able to hire a voice actor, because the helmet should never fucking come off.
Yeah, seriously.
And that, to me, is everything we've talked about with Marvel. And it's yes, get a voice actor. I don't give a fuck. It's someone famous, but just don't ever show their face.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking Bradley Cooper did it. You never had to see his face when he's rocking fucking raccoon.
I know, right? That's crazy. That's crazy pants.
Yeah.
Unheard of. How could this ever be allowed
to happen?
Same
with Vin Diesel as Groot.
Yeah.
You didn't fucking see. You knew it was him.
We all knew. Nobody was under any aspersions of it being something else. We all knew.
Yeah.
I did think today, we were talking a little bit, me and Kelly, about Viggo Mortensen, because he was on a podcast and he talked about how he was offered Wolverine and he turned it down to play Aragorn.
Yeah.
Which is great. Viggo as Doctor Doom. I'm in. Let's fucking go.
That'd be fucking awesome.
But you gotta get it right. You can't just bullshit your way into this. He can't just be some primpy. He can't be a Tony Stark type. That's not Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom has lived through tragedy and pain and anguish.
Yeah.
His mom is literally taken to hell by the devil. Okay, so like you gotta get that right.
Yeah.
And magic and technology are equal parts of Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
So it's not just like you have to have him be a tyrant, and you have to have him be broken, and you have to have his humanity drained out of him, but you also have to have him be desperate enough to try literally anything.
Yeah.
Also entitled. He thinks that all of this is owed to him. All this knowledge, all these abilities, all these things. So looking around and seeing all these superhumans, he's owed the chance to be one of them.
And if you believe the rumors that Marvel is going to lean into Doctor Doom to replace Kang, then you got to get it right.
You got to get it right.
Because you fucked up the first time because you put a abusing piece of shit as your main villain, and now it's like, all right, well, we got to replace him with someone that we can fucking trust.
Yeah.
And we can't fuck it up. But
No.
I don't believe that they won't.
See, this is the thing, and we're going to talk about this in a second with Deadpool, too. I have no reason to believe that this will work. I have been given nothing in the last 5 years that I can look back on and think, this is going to work.
Do you know why I have less faith than you? Because I've watched the Marvels and you haven't.
Oh, yeah, I haven't watched that yet. I saw the end credits sequence. I didn't see all of it. I saw that Beast is in it.
I have far less faith than you, let's just say. Because
Yeah.
even my wife, and we'll talk about the Marvels some other time, even my wife was like, that was fucking terrible. I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God,
Yeah,
you
no,
don't like comic book movies.
Kelly asked me a little while ago, like, do you want to watch this? And I was like, want? Want to watch this. Want is a really strong word here. There's a lot of flirking in this movie. They've been very vocal about how much flirking there is in this movie, and I am not here for it.
Yeah, flirking sucks.
I
Let's just
didn't
say
come
that.
here for flirkins. I came here for
Dude.
Carol Danvers. God damn it!
Just wait. Just wait till you watch it.
Oh,
I'll be able to
terrified.
hear you. I'll be able to hear you screaming from my
I
house.
don't want to. I very much don't want to. There's so few things right now that I don't want to watch more than the Marvels. This is how all Marvel content has gotten.
Yeah.
These last few years is the Marvel thing drops and my stomach drops with it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh fuck, I gotta watch this. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't wanna. I don't know. Don't make me. I don't want to do this, man. Don't do this. Like, you've already put me through so much, and as high as the highs were, man, the lows have been really low recently, dude. Like, I thought 2017 was a low watermark for Marvel on a lot of levels.
Dude.
Because, like, I'm one of the crazy people that look at Thor, the good Thor, and say, this could be better. And all of 2017, I was just like, man, this fucking sucks. Not just Homecoming, Guardians 2, that fucking sucked,
That fucking sucked.
dude. I have so much less faith now than even I did then. Where, like, I remember going into Infinity War and being like, oh God, I really hope this is good because we've been working so hard to get here and it's finally here. And if this isn't good, then it was just this giant waste of time. And then it was really good. And I was like, yay, it wasn't a waste of time. And then I saw Endgame and the exact same feeling washed over me. But by the end of Endgame, I kind of still felt like this wasn't tied off really well. The end fight is great. The first two acts of Endgame I have intermittent issues with, ongoing. And just a lot of questions about how they devised this, how they decided to put all this together. And then afterwards, just the full abandonment of everything that happened in that movie. Why is this going to be any better? Why is this going to be any better? I'm going to sit here and be like, so where were the Fantastic Four while all of this was happening? You have a few options. You can say that this universe literally doesn't have a Fantastic Four, and the Fantastic Four that we're going to follow is from a different universe. You could do that. You could do that they're in the microverse or out in space or doing one of Reed Richards' many, many things. They haven't been on Earth in over a decade. There's things that you could say to explain where they've been, but ultimately it's going to come down to the fucking Eternals, where we're all like, so what was your plan for Thanos? And they were like, not our problem. Is your problem. Is 100% your problem. You cannot have your answer be not my problem. It is your problem. It is very much your problem.
Well, and like I'm trying to figure out what are they going to make as their like main adversary in this Fantastic Four movie.
It has to be Doom. How could it not be Doom?
Well, it's got to be Doom, but
you can't do
the
Mole Man.
Skrulls. Well, see, here's the thing with Mole Man. I think Mole Man is off now because every time I think of Mole Man, I think of the Underminer from The Incredibles.
Yeah.
And then they've already fucked up the Skrulls, so it's like, yeah, it has to be Doom.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go into it expecting, like, okay, some of the earlier, like you said.
You could do Galactus. You could do, like, a Herald of Galactus, like Terrax or Firelord.
Yeah.
Or you could do someone interesting. You could bring in somebody that we hadn't thought of. This is how we find Beta Ray Bill. You know, that he's off heralding Galactus.
I mean, I don't care if
they
do Silver Surfer again.
But I don't know. I'm trying to think of other big names. Are you going to do AIM? You already botched it once.
Oh, they already fucked it up.
You're going to bring that back now? Are you gonna do? Who else could we even do? I'm trying to think. Classic villains. Do you want to do the hate monger? You could do the hate monger, who's literally Hitler.
But I think that villain is too small for like an entry level.
El Diablo. The actual alchemist.
See, I think you're right. I think it has to be either Doom or something like Galactus.
It has to be something.
But whoever it is, I think is what will be the main villain going forward.
Or you do something that's plane based. So you have them go to the microverse or the megaverse or something. You have them go off and be explorers. The negative, Annihilus. You could do Annihilus. That's where they've been. They've been trapped in the negative zone. Reed runs an experiment. They get trapped in the negative zone. They've been in the negative zone this whole time. That's where they get their powers. That's where everything's happening. And this whole time they've been keeping Annihilus from taking over Earth. There you go. You got it. You can do it.
There's no way they'll fucking
There's
do
no
that.
fucking way they're going to do Annihilus. There's no fucking way.
You know, a part of me does and doesn't want to see Galactus because the only thing we got of Galactus was that awful cloud face thing they did. But, like, as much as I want to see him, I'm afraid they're going to fuck him up. It's like the first time we saw Juggernaut in X-Men 3 was terrible, but then they did it right in Deadpool 2. So it's like, I don't know what we would get, and I love Galactus. I think the fact that they have not introduced Galactus is so stupid.
Yeah. Well, especially because the Skrulls had to leave their planet.
Yes.
You know why the Skrulls usually leave their planet? It's the big purple guy that's literally sucking the life out of the planet.
And, I mean, everyone loves the Silver Surfer. How you could have been... I mean, once again, these properties I know they probably just acquired from Fox.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's something they could have done in the past, but it's like...
Well, they acquired them from Fox like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like they just got them yesterday.
That is true.
They got them 4 years ago. You know, the reason we got Kang in the first place was because of some of the fallout from Fox. I think Kang came over... I want to know
why they said... Like, I want to be in that meeting where they're like, you know what? Screw Galactus. Let's do Kang. And half of them would be like, who the fuck is Kang?
See, I don't mind Kang. I just think that they went about it the wrong way. Every single time they went about it the wrong way, where we keep on meeting these variants of Kang, but they don't have a through line, and they don't seem like they're the same person. They do seem very disparate, which I guess is the point. But then, what the fuck is going on with the Kang that's trapped in the microverse?
Yeah.
Is he part of all of this? Is he not part of all of this? How long has he been down there? Why is somebody from the distant future in the microverse in the past? I end up having just so many questions about this decision.
They do such a good job fucking up. Like, I still don't forgive them over Baron Zemo, and it's like...
Oh my god. We got Sockface eventually, but again, they just dropped all of that.
Yeah, you need it in a fucking TV show.
Yeah.
It's like, goddamn,
he's not even on the Thunderbolts. No. They've announced the Thunderbolts. Zemo's not on there. How is Zemo not on? How are you doing the Thunderbolts and Zemo's not there?
Was he alive or dead at the end of Falcon and Winter Soldier?
He was alive. He makes it out of that alive.
I couldn't remember.
I think S.H.I.E.L.D. arrests him again, and they take him back to jail. It's one of those like, now that you finished your job, you go back to jail. How are you doing this? How are you finding a way to shoot off toes when you don't have any toes left? No, they really don't.
You don't give a fuck.
They really, really don't. They go through the Encyclopedia Marvelica, and they say, "Hey, have we done the Depth Man? Or I can't remember what his name is. Have we done El Diablo yet? The actual alchemist who fights Daredevil. Have we done him? No.
Depth Man.
I can't remember what his name is, but he's like the Digger or something like that." And he's basically like a zombie made out of a bunch of different gangsters. Like there's weird shit out here. I guess it's like watching a child spin a globe and put your finger on it and have to come up with a story based on that.
Well, and like now that Aquaman is dead, pretty much.
Yeah.
Submariner, fucking roll him out.
Where was the Submariner?
Well, I had read something that they didn't want to do him because Aquaman, the first one, was a success. But it's like, okay, well, now that is done. Who knows when the next time we ever see Aquaman in the DC cinematic universe? Roll out Submariner.
Especially if you're doing Fantastic Four, you have to do Submariner.
See, what I would be worried, though, is they would do him like Jason Momoa instead of the stoic character he is.
Yeah, no, he needs
and so
to be...
that's what concerned me about that.
This is the thing, is that... So in superherodom, usually the villain is kind of a dark reflection of the hero. In the case of the Fantastic Four, the hero is Reed Richards, who is so caught in his own world that he often fully forgets about his family and everything else going on around him because he's just so focused on this one thing. And so all of the villains, they have that same kind of obsessiveness. and that obsessiveness is pointed in a different direction. And so Namor is obsessed with Sue Storm. And so it becomes like Sue has this person that actually wants to pay attention to her and be around her and is just as smart as Reed, but actually cares about her, but is still kind of crazy. Like Reed is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
You know? And Doom is like Reed, but with this sense of power and authority. I am owed this. This is mine to take. Instead of going out and finding it and discovering it and being an explorer, he says, this information is owed to me. I should be given it on a silver platter.
Yes.
But again, obsessive about everything. And, you know, this would be a great time to bring back Namor after Black Panther 2. They're not going to do it.
No.
They're not going to do it.
No.
And man, I'm so tired of sitting here and being like, oh, they could do a story where the Fantastic Four gets stuck in the negative zone because Tony hired them to build Prison 42, but something went wrong and now they're trapped there and they've been there for so long and they come back and they have powers. That would be cool. I would be totally into that. It's never going to happen.
No.
It's never going to happen. No. And I'm so tired of this. I've been doing this for over 15 years now. I sit here and I say, you want to be really cool? Is if Thor 2 was about the Wrecking Crew.
Yeah.
And how Loki is pulling strings even from prison in Asgard. No, that's not at all what we're going to do. And in fact, when we do the Wrecking Crew, it's going to be just a trash pile.
And then for Thor 2, when you do Malachi and the Dark Elves, you do it poorly.
Very poorly.
And it's like, that's a great storyline.
Yeah.
That was a great villains.
You have the Casket of Ancient Winters and everything.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing with the Dark Elves and
the Scourge was terrible.
All
it's
of
like
it was
Scourge
bad.
in the book is so much better, and it's
all
not like
of it is bad.
Oh, that's hard. Okay, so I think this should roll into Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, let's talk about Deadpool and Wolverine because I have the exact same issue here.
Yes.
I saw the trailer and I said, oh, that looks like it could be really fun. And I love the moment where Deadpool says, can I get a hand up? And Wolverine extends the claws and he's like, never mind, I'm good. Yeah. That's straight out of the comics.
Yes.
I don't think it's going to work.
Especially, the reason why I wanted to go right into this is there is that scene that it kind of looks like it could be Doctor Doom. There's a scene in the trailer where there's a dude has a mask that looks kind of like a Doctor Doom mask. And it's very brief. And I've also heard, I watched a couple of the trailer reactions because a lot of times I'll watch that because sometimes people will catch shit that I didn't see. And they paused it on that and they were like, is that how he gets introduced to the MCU through this movie?
Well, that's what it seems to be, is that Marvel basically took their fiascos for the last 4 years and handed them to Ryan Reynolds and said, you can fix this, right? Has Marvel gone back to Ryan Reynolds at the end of every day and said, no, but do more of this. No, wait, hang on. We need more of this. Hang on, don't do that. That's not what we want to do.
I have heard they pissed him off.
And so this is what I'm saying. Yeah. Let's not forget, there was a really cool Ant-Man movie planned when Edgar Wright was going to write and direct it. That didn't happen because Marvel pissed him off so bad that he left. He gave his script to them and he walked away. And, I'm just looking at this, and it's the exact same thing as the Fantastic Four.
I did puke in my mouth a little bit in the beginning of the trailer when you see the TVA.
I was so angry when the TVA showed up. I was like, this is what we're doing?
That's what they're doing.
This is what we're doing? You have all of these stupid hanging chads that you have insisted on putting up these last 4 years, and now they're going to be the backbone of our society? No, this cannot be. Yeah. This is going... I'm not saying it is
damage control and fucking.
I'm not going to say it is going to suck, but I have no reason to believe that it's going to be any good. Even if you have Ryan Reynolds, I just don't think it's going to be great. I think it could be, but I also think that Red Notice and the Adam Project were middling to decent at best. So, like, I look at If. I'm not thinking If looks interesting, but. Again, Ryan Reynolds isn't the only reason I think it looks interesting. And I love when Ryan Reynolds does the media for stuff. Anybody who didn't see, they have a great bit where for If, this movie directed by John Krasinski about imaginary friends starring Ryan Reynolds, they have him doing one of those behind the scenes like intros, like this is our trailer for our new movie If. We're really proud of it. But instead of John Krasinski, they have Randall Park saying that he's John Krasinski.
That was great. I did see
and you
that.
just have Ryan Reynolds just staring at him like, what the fuck is going on? And I was like, see, this is what I love.
That is fucking awesome.
This shit I love.
Yes.
Is this going to be the movie? I don't know. And I don't think Marvel would ever let that happen.
The only thing that excited me about the trailer, I gotta admit, I've been the same as you. I was terribly skeptical at the end of that trailer.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that gave me any excitement was when he's walking into the casino and you see the back of Wolverine's head.
Yeah.
It is a smaller Wolverine. And that's where I think if the rumor is true about Daniel Radcliffe being a cameo Wolverine.
But I'm so, like, this is my thing. I'm tired of this, man.
I think it would be funny.
Okay, I think it would be funny.
I think it would be funny.
I think John Krasinski would make a great Reed Richards.
Oh, yeah.
I think Anson Mount could wear the Black Bolt costume. You know what Marvel thinks? Great opportunity for a joke.
Yep.
We're not going to do it. We're going to get all of everything together and have everything ready and make it so you get a full proof of concept. We're never going to do it.
That's what's sad.
And so what? You're just bear baiting me with these ideas?
Well, maybe it could be a starting off point for, because you know Jackman's not going to be.
Well, so this is my
even
third
though
thing.
he supposedly is signed through Secret Wars.
But again,
That could be off too.
You remember that when Chris Evans was on contract, a lot of the contracts included post-credit scenes and that kind of thing. So he was on for like 7 movies, but one of those was Homecoming, where he just shows up in a post-credit scene.
That's
Oh,
true.
it was one of the 7. And so, like, he could show up as a cameo. This is what they fucking do, is they say, hey, everybody's going to be in this movie, and then nobody's actually in the fucking movie.
Yeah.
When Deadpool did that, it was a joke. It was a joke on the studio heads, and it was done perfectly. Here, you're actually using it as bait to get us into the theater and get us excited about the movie, and then it just ends up being a nothing burger.
And the part that's, I'll be honest, that's not exciting me, and this is not an ageism thing. I've been watching like different clips of Hugh Jackman working out, getting ready for this, and it's like, man, he looks old.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the last remnant of Wolverine that I wanted to have in my head was Logan, when he's just this beaten old man.
Which was, again, 7 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So he's 7 years older now on
Yeah.
top of that, and it's like, dude, don't. Like, I like Hugh Jackman. I never loved him as Wolverine because of the whole fight thing.
Right. He's never
been right. But it's like, fuck, man.
You know, like, on a scale of how bad it's been with other actors that were cast in roles, this isn't as bad as I've seen
No,
it. Right?
no.
I still think Miles Teller is a worse Mr. Fantastic than Hugh Jackman is Wolverine.
Yeah.
But he's still not right.
No.
It's still not a fit. It's still a square peg having been pounded into a round hole.
Yes.
And will it work? Yeah, I guess now it will, because we've all gotten used to it. But this is not right. We can all look at this, if you know, and say, this is not right. But my other huge issue with this is, what is the one thing we have been saying about Deadpool 3? It gotta be R-rated.
Yeah.
It has to be R-rated, because otherwise, what's the fucking point?
Yes.
What's the fucking point if you're gonna make Deadpool 3 and it's not gonna be R-rated? If this is the linchpin that holds everything together for the entire MCU and brings the X-Men in and all these other things and allows the Fox characters to be reestablished in the MCU, how is it gonna be R? In what world could that movie be R?
Is the trailer itself has F-bombs and blood. So it's like, unless they backtrack off of the trailer, because if you rewatch it, they drop a few F-bombs and there's blood, like when he's fucking killing people.
Yeah.
So it's like, unless
but how are you going to have that be the movie that every 12-year-old wants to see because it ties into all the Captain America
I don't know
movies?
how they're going to do that.
See, that's my thing.
Yeah,
I don't think that they're going to be able to do that.
No.
I think what they're going to probably end up doing is releasing a PG-13 version in theaters and then a rated R version on DVD later on. And
I don't think they could do that.
I don't know how you do it any other way.
It would have to be the opposite, like they did with Deadpool 2.
No, I think that they're going to do the opposite of Deadpool 2.
They couldn't do that. I don't. No, that would be.
But they don't care. We've already talked about this.
I know they don't care.
They don't care.
But their reputation is so shot because they finally are getting called out for making dog shit movies that if they did this, that could literally be the end of the MCU.
And I fully think that it could be the end
Oh,
of
no,
the MCU.
it will be the end.
But that's what I'm saying, is that I have not seen anything in the last few years that was MCU speared that has been even halfway decent, let alone good. What was the last thing that I saw that I actually genuinely liked almost all of, like more than 75% of, was probably Falcon Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
And that was still closer to 75 than it was 100.
Yeah, because did they say, is Werewolf by Night part of the...
It's technically part of the canon,
part
but
of
we
the
don't
canon.
know where it fits.
Yeah, because that was the only thing truly that I've loved since Infinity War.
If Werewolf by Night takes place in the 40s or 50s, like the kind of thematic elements make it seem like, what's going to go on with Eliza Bloodstone?
Yeah.
What's been happening with Swamp Thing, or not Swamp Thing, with Man Thing?
Man-Thing.
You know, like, so if you're going to do this, you have to make it make sense. This is the same thing that DC has fallen into, is you started worrying about the entirety of the structure and not each individual piece. The pieces have to be good, and then you can see how they fit together. Yeah. You cannot just be like, pell-mell, let's just fucking shoot it at the wall and see what fucking works. Yeah. You know, I'm tired of it.
Yeah,
and
that's totally what they're doing.
I look at Deadpool and I say, okay, and how is this going to be good? Because what have I been given in recent history that makes me think that this is going to be any good? Nothing. So I'm going to go off of how cool the porcupine costume was in She-Hulk. These are the things I now get to hang my hat on. Like, but like, that's been the last 4 years, man. Yeah. It's like, oh, look at Porcupine. He's here. They did it. Don't worry about the Wrecker. Don't worry about the Wrecker, because Porcupine's here, guys. Huh? And you love Daredevil and Kingpin. Oh, you love Kingpin. Yeah, I love Kingpin when you get him right. Oh, well, if he just shows up, though, that's good enough, right? Yeah. No, it's fucking not. It's not just good enough to have him on set. It has to be right, goddammit. Having Daredevil and Echo is a slam dunk. The way that you did it makes no fucking sense and completely undermines everything you're trying to build. So what are we fucking doing?
Yeah, that's fucking stupid.
Yeah, no, I would love for Deadpool and Wolverine to be great. I have absolutely no reason right now
none.
to think that it will be.
None. No.
So from there, I do want to roll, while we're talking some X-Men, into something that I don't know if it's going to be any good, because it's on Disney+.
Yes.
X-Men 97. X-Men 97 is based off of the...
It's just pretty much like a reimagined continuation.
It's kind of a continuation, it looks like, of X-Men TAS.
I have to say, though, the nerds online have pointed out that one of the reasons why most nerds loved that show back in the day was Rogue had a voluptuous booty.
Yes, she did.
And she does not in the show. There's a lot of posts about that, which made me laugh.
Anybody who doesn't know, go and look up...
Oh my God, she put so many kids through puberty.
Go and look up X-Men, her and Jean Grey. Because Jean Grey, anytime she uses her powers or gets hit or has anybody take a swing at her, she goes, ah! And it just, after a while, it becomes really sexual. And like, between her and Rogue, just like, I can never get over the shot of Rogue getting hit by Apocalypse and then just landing like full 80s booty spread to camera. Like, it's just like, wow, you guys truly don't care.
It's such a great
But
show.
I do love the TAS. I love X-Men TAS.
Yeah.
I didn't love the last season, so I'm a little concerned that we're including the last season as part of the canon. It's fine. It's whatever. But
well, I'm just, like you said, I'm concerned that it's modern day Marvel and Disney making it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, okay, I love the conceit that this takes place in 1997. I love the conceit of Wolverine and Gambit teaming up, though I do wonder if this would make Wolverine's entire skeleton explode, which I guess ultimately wouldn't really matter, but also kind of would. I love the look. I think the look where it has the feel of the original animation, but has more of an anime, style in terms of the way things move. So like I'm trying to think of how best to describe it, because you have the style and then you have the animation, and the style looks just like the show, and the animation looks like something out of an anime. And I want this to be good. I like that they brought back a lot of the same voice actors and that it has a very similar feel and look and style. I'm just a little nervous. It's going to come down to stories, man. It's going to come down to stories. And, not for nothing, some of those stories in the last season, not good. Not good stories.
And I have to admit, my initial reaction to the trailer was excitement and hope. And I've watched it a few times since then, and that has quickly dwindled. Mainly because of the discussion we just had. Yeah. And thinking about, okay, wait a second. Why am I excited about this right now? It's like the same as if James Gunn, if they remade the Batman, the animated series.
Yeah.
I would have the same reservations where it's like, I don't think you can make the series that we loved today.
You're bringing in new minds and just telling them to build around the old robot.
Yes.
And... what made those shows great were the minds behind them.
Yes.
Not just like one little thing here or one little thing there. It's like, I remember hearing about or seeing an interview with the guy that wrote the theme song. And to him, it was just kind of like an afterthought thing because to the show wasn't like a priority. And it became the calling card of that entire series is that opening theme song. Yeah. And man, I want this to be good. I want Deadpool 3 to be good, and I want Fantastic Four to be good, and I wanted the Marvels to be good, and I wanted She-Hulk to be good, and I wanted Miss Marvel to be good. And it just keeps on not happening for me. And at some point, I got to look at it as someone who has a lot of information in front of them and say, yeah, no, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
It's just not going to happen.
If it ever happened where they made a comic accurate film, I might have a heart attack.
Yeah.
Like I would be in that much shock.
Like I was thinking about how I would feel if I walked out of Deadpool and I actually loved it. Yeah. It would blow my mind. I would be on cloud 9 because the MCU has left that feeling behind so many times. And so like, you know, you get to the end of Across the Spider-Verse and somebody pointed out, I think very pointedly, very well made, that is a movie that also doesn't have an ending. We were talking about Rebel Moon and we were talking about Justice League Part 1, and the criticism we had for both movies was that they didn't have an ending. And my favorite movie of last year was Across the Spider-Verse, and it did not have an ending. Yeah. Like it didn't. It didn't even tie off anything really to say like, okay, this plot line is set. No, everything is still fully up in the air, and that's something that I loved about that didn't work with Rebel Moon.
Well, and a lot of that goes into you got to have a high quality movie to make that work.
Exactly. But then you go into like this, and I'm just looking at it, and I don't know how I could possibly, you know, what if season 2 surprised me in the sense that I liked more episodes than I didn't like? What if season 2 still had plenty of episodes where I was sitting there watching it and being like, why the fuck is this a thing? Yeah. Why the fuck are we spending all this time and money and energy on this? And that's what it's going to come down to. It doesn't matter if you have the theme song and the look and, you know, the weird 90s beach party, you know, accoutrement. If the story fucking sucks and doesn't work, and it's not about like Senator Kelly and the Mutant Registration Act and all these other things, and, you know, Magneto trying to control the X-Men while also not, you know, straying too far from the core values, and how do the Shi'ar feel about everything that's going on, and all these, you know, there's so many things you can do. What are you going to do? Because you have a lot of things to do, and when it comes down to it, the decisions you make on what to do usually sucks these days. Yeah. So I'm just going to sit here and ask, how many Hela meets the 10 rings? How many of those are we going to have? Because if it's more than 3, we're going to have issues. Yeah. Because I was perfectly fine having this be in the ground. You did not need to exhume the body. And am I excited? If it works, I have no reason to believe it's going to work.
No, I don't think it's going to work. No. You know, that's the sad part.
I wanted to so badly. I'm still going to watch it.
I know. Oh, no, we're still going to watch it.
I mean, like, I haven't watched the Marvels. I haven't watched Loki season 2. This I will watch. Yeah. This day and date I will start and watch, which is not something I say lightly. I mean, look at What If. I spent 3 weeks putting off What If because I just couldn't bring myself to watch it. I'm ready to watch this when it drops.
Well, that's the thing this thing has going for it is the member berries.
Yeah,
it's like people our age are going like, yeah, I fucking remember that show.
But I still remember watching that show again as an adult and being like, there's still some really good storylines and action in these episodes. It's not just stupid kid bullshit. There's some really good stuff here. Are you going to commit to those things?
See, I think what they would need to do, and I'm afraid they don't know how to do this now, is to separate it from the storylines. Like with What If, how they connected the storylines to what's going on in the MCU. It's like, no, you already fucked that up. Do standalone storylines in the X-Men universe.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to introduce other superheroes, do it as they don't exist like they do in the movie.
Here's something that I would love to see. Take characters that didn't exist when this X-Men came out and look at them. X-23, Quentin Queer, who's that other guy that's been big? Evan, he's a clone of Apocalypse. Yeah. I can't remember his name. Phantom X. There's some really cool characters. Do the stuff with Storm and Black Panther. You know, there's some awesome stuff that wasn't around when this show was originally made that you can touch on now. I want you to dig into those things. You know, because X-Men had Rogue steal the powers from Miss Marvel canonically in the same way that she did in the comic books. Are we going to do anything of actual merit or purpose here? Because if not, then that's going to really detract from the entire experience of watching the show.
It's going to be all damage control. You're going to love it.
I really hope not, man.
All right, so we got to move on. What's our next trailer on the list?
I want to touch on Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Yes, which looks good.
It looks good.
I don't know how I feel about not having the Caesar dynamic.
The main character still looks a lot like Caesar.
He does.
I don't know if it's like a relative of Caesar. This is what I'm really interested in, is to find out how long it's been since War for the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Because I think that is going to be the most interesting thing to me, is the idea of if you skip 20 years.
But see, like, the thing I'm worried about is what made those first 3 movies so epic to me, and I love those first 3 movies are masterpieces, is the gravitas of Andy Serkis that you could feel coming from Caesar.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what really made some of these characters work, and that he's done, per se. And so I'm kind of curious to see if we're going to miss that.
Yeah, I am very curious to see, because that's going to be... I agree with you. That was always the thing that tied those movies together.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like, I love monkeys, and I do love monkeys.
Yes.
And I love the way that the first one ends, and, you know, it's one of the very few James Franco performances that I don't... In a quote-unquote serious movie.
Yes.
When he's in a Seth Rogen comedy, I'm always like, you do whatever. You were already stoned to your, you know, eyeballs before you got on set. So, like, whatever. You do what you want here. But when it's something like this that has to take energy and gravitas, he actually did pretty good in that first one, all things considered.
Yeah.
I think Tom Felton, Draco Malfoy, was still better in that movie.
It was awesome.
James Franco.
It was awesome.
I really love the idea of fast forwarding. I don't usually love the idea of fast forwarding. I think the Apes movies ended in such a clean way that fast forwarding into something closer to the Heston era would be much more interesting to me.
Yeah.
If this is like I think it's Copernicus is the main monkey.
I think so, but that's what makes me concerned, is because if you look at the just layout of where they're living and how they're living, it looks very similar to the last movie.
It does. It only looks like it's been a few years since the last movie.
I agree with you. If they would have had them aged up and, you know, living in houses and, like, you know,
or even
huts or something.
I was
like
about to
that.
say, even in the original Planet of the Apes, where they were living in kind of these bungalow huts, and you know, it's still kind of like, you know, BC era.
Yeah,
but
they're all wearing
figured
clothes.
Out bricks, but yeah, they know what they're doing. They have a society set up.
Yeah,
they have scientists who study all kinds of things.
I agree.
You have enough structure so you can have Dr. Zaius have completed his doctorate and have that mean something.
Dr. Zaius.
Dr. Zaius.
Dr. Zaius.
Dr. Zaius. Dr. Zaius. Ooh, Dr. Zaius. Dr. Zaius. Dr. Zaius. Can I play the piano? Why, of course. Well, I couldn't before.
I fucking love it. But yeah, no, I love the other movie so much that I'm going to give it a chance.
I'm definitely going to give this a chance. I'm a little nervous. I think some of the CGI doesn't look as good, I'm going to say. I'm looking at the thumbnail of the gorilla that's riding the horse trying to capture the girl in the trailer, and it just doesn't look... The face looks weird. It looks weird.
See, and it's like, the thing I'm concerned about is the final one, even though I think it's a masterpiece, it didn't make quite as much a hit. Like,
no,
it was good.
It was more of a soft thunk at the end than like a resounding feeling
and
of
this
success.
feels more like, okay, we put off some time. Let's put a little bit of money into a fourth one and see what happens.
This is my concern. Is when Matt Reeves did the Planet of the Apes movies, he had a very specific vision for what he wanted to do with those movies, and that's why they had the propulsion that they had.
Yes.
On top of Andy Serkis giving just an incredible performance in all 3 movies. I look at this and I say, is this somebody who is very passionate about the story that they're going to tell here? Or is this a studio money grab where they were going through their franchise and they said, hey, you know, it's been a few years since we did an Apes movie. You think we can do an Apes movie? It's been 5 years.
See, I'm afraid it's a part 2.
That's what I'm
really afraid.
That's what I'm afraid of, and you won't know until you get there.
Yeah.
How much of this is money grab and how much of this is earnest storytelling.
Yeah.
And so if this ends up being just a franchise money grab, that's going to be a huge disappointment, because, again, one of the things I love about the Apes movies is just how pertinent and well done the storytelling is.
Oh yeah.
And if they don't have that here, this is the story of this whole segment. If the story sucks, it's not gonna work.
Yes. And you need performances like John Lithgow in the first one with the dementia. It's like, dude.
Or I still
So
love,
fucking good.
I still love Kerry Russell and Cody Smith McPhee and what's his nuts?
John
Jason
Connor.
Clarke.
Yeah.
I think that they give very understated but good performances.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
I really like Toby Kebbler in that movie because he has a dual performance because he plays the villain who's a human, but he also plays the villain who's the ape.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I actually liked Woody Harrelson in the third one.
I really like Woody Harrelson in the third
really
one.
good.
I thought it was great.
And I like the arc where he's this grieving parent.
He's just like fully broken. By the fall of the world. He's just fully broken by it, and he just is going to continue to live life as he did when the world was still running, even though he is a broken man and the world is shattered beyond recognition. But just that moment at the end where Caesar comes over to him and he's really falling to the disease finally, and Caesar's just standing over him like, what was this all for, man? Yeah. What was all this for?
And it is funny because you take Woody Harrelson's character in this, and all he is a more serious version of Tallahassee from Zombieland.
Yes.
Because it's the same kind of thing where they're both broken, but one is an asshole who like joking.
One dries his eyes with dollar bills. The other shaves his head very menacingly while looking out over his troops.
It's fucking awesome. All right, so real quick, I want to bring up something that I loved and you were laughing at.
Yes.
Devara Part 1.
Yes.
Which is N.T. Rama Rao Jr., who was Beam in RRR.
Yes.
And this looks, I mean, it's hard to tell exactly what it is from the trailer. Like you said, it's like a 300.
Yeah.
But it looks like modern day pirates because there are shipping crates that they're stealing.
I didn't see shipping crates.
Yeah, in the beginning, it's like shipping crates they're stealing. And so it looks like modern day pirates. But it looks so fucking cool. Like the scene where he slices the dude's neck and brings his sword up, and the blood completes the crescent moon into a full moon shape. I was like, that's fucking awesome. Yeah.
No, I love the look and feel of Bollywood movies. That's one of the reasons I'm excited for Monkey Man, is that Monkey Man, I know that we talked about this before, but I do think that it looks like it's going to have more of a Bollywood feel than just a straight American action movie feel. Even though it has like a John Wick look, I think it's going to have a Bollywood action feel. I looked at that trailer, and while I did laugh, I was like, this does look good.
Looks fucking good.
Like, I would still watch
it. Because it does have that 300 feel, except for the fact, the thing I hated about 300 is even after battles, they still looked really clean and, like, oiled up. Where in this, he's still, like when the final scene where the water's splashing past his face, he looks dirty and bloody, and it's like...
Yeah,
I wanted to see it so bad.
I do want to check that out.
I hope it comes to America. I know it probably won't.
I hope it's another big hit like RRR was.
I hope so,
where it just kind of forces its way into the zeitgeist.
It looks so fucking cool. And like there's I can't remember if it was dialogue or music in the beginning of the trailer that was in English.
I'd have to watch it again. I don't know.
So that's what makes me think maybe they're trying to force it into America like they did RRR by having like a trailer that part of it's in English. And it's like, why would that be?
Why wouldn't you? You have one of the leads of RRR, and it's another action movie. It has a lot of feels that, strike close to blockbuster American cinema. So I would love to see it. I mean, I would just love to see more Bollywood movies make their way transitioned over here, just because like it would put the studios in a new frame of reference.
True.
We talked a few weeks ago about studios being afraid to make a movie that's too long, a la Harry Potter, or a Marvel movie that should be longer but isn't, because they're like, oh, the audience won't sit through it. One of the things I love about Bollywood movies is the ridiculous length and just how... like when you watch a Bollywood movie, you are getting two discrete movies.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's, you have the one movie, which is all the setup, and then you have the sequel to that movie. And it's so fun. It's such a unique experience to that kind of cinema, where even if you look at something like Lord of the Rings, or you look at Endgame, which was a 3-hour movie, or The Abyss or something like that, that's, a very long 2.5+ hours. It doesn't feel truncated in that way. It feels like it's all one big story. And this is a big story, but it's divided up into these very digestible pieces. So you never have a moment where you're kind of like, oh man, I've been here forever. Yeah. You're just kind of continuing to take on new information from the story. Yeah. And
they're event movies. That's what I love about them. It's not just some throwaway thing. It's like, holy fuck.
You want to talk about reasons to go to the theater?
Oh,
this is like CinemaScope in the 60s. Dude. It reframes literally how you you interpret and experience the movie.
I'm waiting to hear when this comes out because I'm going to keep checking the little theater and see if it's going to come to Rochester. Because I can't imagine, now that the Pittsburgh cinema's closed, I don't know where else they would show it.
No, I know.
It's not going to go to AMC, so it's got to go to the Little.
No, I mean, unless they do like a Fathom event, which would mean like a lot of groundswell online.
Yeah.
That's what that would take, is a lot of people saying, I want to see this.
And I know that new dine-in theater in Pittsburgh's open now.
I got to go. I haven't gone yet.
Yeah, I don't know what it's like. I don't know if they'll be showing obscure movies like the old Pittsburgh cinema used to.
I don't know what their scheduling is.
Yeah.
So
I wish they would do more art house movies because that's what I miss about that theater.
Yeah.
They would do artsy movies that you wouldn't see elsewhere.
And second runs. I miss having a second run theater so badly. I love the Dollar Theater. It came back for a little bit. I think it's gone again now.
No, it's gone again. There's too much violence there.
Man, I love second run theaters. And I love theaters that program what they want to show instead of what's just airing nationally right now. And one of my favorite movie experiences will forever be the day that we went to the Alamo Drafthouse in Yonkers. Best theater, bar none. Best theater, best Alamo, best theater. And we saw Ninja Turtles 1, Ninja Turtles Secret of the Ooze, and It was an 80s sewer marathon.
Oh my God.
And it was excellent. It's so good. The the print of TMNT1 was atrocious. Did I care? Not for a second.
They should just name that Things That Have Not Aged Well. That's all three of those movies.
Hey, man, I'm going to stick up for TMNT till the day I die.
Oh, I still love that movie, but man, it has not fucking aged well.
Casey Jones is up on the wall for a reason now,
Casey
man.
Jones in that movie.
You got to know what a crumpet is to understand cricket.
He was fucking great in that movie.
I did want to touch on really quick Wicked. I'm just really excited for Wicked because I never got to see it, and Kelly is like an OG on Wicked. She was into it before it was cool. And she went into class and talked it up before anybody knew what it was. Yeah. I've never seen, I've heard songs, but I've never actually sat through the entire show. Yeah. So I am really excited for this film adaptation. We got the original cast recording on vinyl, so that's going to be coming sometime in the spring. Okay. I'm really excited to check that out. But I really do want to actually see this story because I've heard so many things over the years, and I have some concerns. Ariana Grande isn't my first choice as an actress in almost anything. But otherwise,
She's replacing, what's her name? Kristen Chiswell? Or how do you say her name? Chadwith. Thank you.
I'm very curious about this. I'm going to be relying on Kelly heavily when looking at the movie in terms of what can and cannot be.
See, my family and I this is one of our more highly anticipated movies to watch. Like we saw the trailer and my daughter almost lost her shit because she loves Descendants is it the Descendants, the Disney one showing
that's like
the kids of and it's all musical and stuff. So she saw this and she's like like gone nuts. And all I could think of is I'm waiting for that first dipshit racist that says, you had a white woman playing the green woman. Why is it a black woman playing the green woman? Now that's all I can think in my head. I'm like, God damn it. We've gotten to this point in our culture where that's the shit I'm waiting to hear from dipshits.
You know it's going to happen.
But I don't know. Like, I don't know if it will this time. And that's another thing I'm thinking. It's like, because they're green in the movie. So it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, first off, period, let alone they're fucking green.
It'll still probably be better than, I can't remember whether it was Rachel Weisz or Mila Kunis in that terrible Sam Raimi, Oz the Great and Powerful, who played Mila the Wicked Kunis. Witch. But it's probably going to be better than that. Yeah. I mean, I can't wait to see this movie. My deep hope is that everything is better than that movie, because I remember going into that movie being like, this will be interesting, and then I came out of it like, this sucked.
Jeff Goldblum's the wizard.
You know?
Come on now. Jeff fucking Goldblum is the wizard.
Yeah. We're going to see.
I can't wait to see it.
I'm very excited. I'm very excited for this.
I think honestly, out of all the trailers for the movies, this is the one I was most when I was done. Like, I really want to fucking see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I never thought that would have been the case. Yeah. Yeah, it looks great.
I'm very excited.
I do want to send since I missed the Super Bowl talk, a shout out to, I can't believe I've ever say this, the Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Tom Brady Dunkin' Donuts commercial, because I've seen it a few times and I'm like, that is really fucking funny. Yeah. Like everyone in it, especially J-Lo, who I usually could care less about. I was like, she really played it perfectly. Yeah. With the little dry comments and everything. I'm like, that was really fucking funny.
I just love Matt Damon in that commercial where he says, you know how I do anything for you. this was anything.
This was anything.
But I also love that he went on Colbert wearing the jacket.
Yes.
And like did the whole thing. Like I think that was really funny.
That was really funny.
It did take me back to the days when I really deeply appreciated Affleck and Damon. Basically Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, Good Will Hunting was a big influence on me.
Don't forget about School Ties.
I am going to forget about School Ties.
They were both in School Ties.
I know, and I'm going to forget about it.
Youngins in School Ties.
I know. Yeah, anyway, I did like that. I'm trying to remember what my favorite commercial was for the Super Bowl. I think that's the problem, is that much like the Usher halftime performance, I don't remember anything interesting. I remember Temu had too many ads, and Jesus needed to spend more time being Jesus and not telling us to be Jesus
I
to each
laughed.
other.
Somebody had posted, sorry we couldn't help feed the poor. We had to spend $200 million on Super Bowl commercials.
Exactly.
It's like, that's fucking true
Getting
right there.
AI to tell you to wash each other's feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, great message. Go out and do it, dumbass.
Like the Schwarzenegger Danny DeVito one was cool.
That wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad, but it was.
I like it in conceit. This idea that he can't say neighbor, and says neighbor.
Neighbor.
And I was like, okay, this is all right. I did kind of miss. I know it's a cop out, but I did kind of miss the Doritos commercials where they just hire anybody to make a commercial. They just have a contest.
They haven't really done that shit in a while.
No, there was no GoDaddy.
And
weird,
Doritos used to be the funniest commercials, but they were just like.
That's what I'm saying. Is that there used to be some really good Doritos commercials that were just made by Joe Schmo.
Yeah.
And they didn't have a presence this year. Budweiser was there.
No.
I think there were more trailers than any given product.
Yeah.
Even beer. I think there were more trailers than there were.
And there
beer
were a lot more trailers for fucking shitty TV shows that I didn't give a shit about.
Yeah.
It's like, what was that one where the guy's like a bounty hunter or something?
Tracker or something.
Tracker. It's like, Jesus Christ, dude. I saw so many of those commercials that I feel like I've seen the show.
Pushing that fucking hard. So, yeah, no, I agree. This is always one of the things that I love. I will say, when I saw the trailer for Twisters.
Oh, how did we forget about that? That horrible looking piece. Like, that first movie sucked. I said as soon as that trailer was done, I'm like, Philip Seymour Hoffman and what's his face?
Bill
Paxton are rolling over in their fucking graves.
No, I was watching that trailer and I was like, oh, how interesting. Making a tornado movie. It kind of feels like a Twister movie. And then they have like the drones that can destroy tornadoes. And I'm like, yeah, this feels like if you did Twister, but it was stupid. And Twister was already pretty dumb. And then I see that it's Twisters. And I was like, you got to be shitting me.
Dude, and it was like, how are you making a nationalized television commercial during the Super Bowl for a sci-fi movie? Because that's a Sci-Fi Channel fucking movie right there.
Oh, yeah. It's not a sci-fi movie. It's a sci-fi movie in the sense that it's a genre sci-fi movie, but we're talking about the channel sci-fi.
And that reminded me of one of my favorite movie moments ever. I was in the theater with my friends watching the first Twister, and there was a gentleman sitting a few rows up from us who had special needs. And so every now and then he would say something, but then there was the part where they were hanging onto the pipe as the tornado went over, and in a quiet theater, he goes, yeah, right. And we died. It was the funniest thing I've ever fucking heard. And all I thought about when I watched that trailer is, yeah, right. This is not happening.
Yeah. No, I saw the drones that can destroy tornadoes, and I was like, well, this is stupid. And then they were like, oh, we got this battle van for chasing tornadoes. And I was like, this is really stupid. And then I saw the title and I was like, okay, see, here I thought that this was dumb. This is somehow made dumber by the fact that you are openly associating with Twister.
The first movie was so fucking bad.
Like, it was so long ago.
So bad.
When was the last time Twister was a relevant thing in culture?
And sad to say, I think that was the last thing one of my beloveds from growing up, Jamie Gertz, ever made. Was she was the fucking, she did something in the news or something. Yeah, and it's like, dude.
No,
so bad.
I know. I could not believe that was going to be a thing.
It was laughable. Like, I was laughing at the end of that trailer.
Yeah.
That's how bad it was.
Yeah, no, I was more shocked than anything.
Yeah.
I would love to talk about the Inside Out 2 and Moana trailers, but they're not really trailers.
No.
They're just announcements for movies that we knew were already being made.
And, like, I already, a little part of me was kind of curious about the Moana live action movie, but
it's
then
quick.
But then they came out and said, well, later this year you're getting Moana 2.
Yeah.
The animated. I'm like, well, I'd rather fucking see that than the fucking live action Moana.
You gotta stop with the live action movies, Disney.
They gotta stop. They're so bad.
You gotta, like, Disney, I don't know whether you need to go into merchandise or the fucking Disney World or where you're gonna make your money from. you need to stop.
Yeah. Someone needs to slap their hand and just say stop.
You need to stop all the engines. The Star Wars engine needs to be turned off. The Marvel engine needs to be turned off. The Pixar engine isn't doing great. The Disney animation engine isn't doing great.
The Toy Story 5 engine?
I'm so done with this. Like,
they're doing with Toy Story what they did with Indiana Jones. It's like, dude, you nailed it with 3.
Why are you doing
Stop
this?
it!
Just stop.
You had the perfect ending for 3.
You had it. You finished it. Why are you doing this? Oh, to make money. That's, as we've already established many times in this episode, not a reason to make something.
Nope.
So, anywho, it's going to be a fun year.
Oh, God, we're going to have so much to rant about. I can't wait for that.
God damn it.
All right, folks. Well, that was Nerdpod Generations episode 128. We really hope you enjoyed it. We do have so much more content coming up because we keep pushing certain things that we want to do.
I swear to God, it's still Groundhog's Day.
It is still Groundhog's Day.
I promise you, I know, but it is still Groundhog's Day.
It is still Groundhog's Day, and we will talk about it. So we hope you enjoyed this episode, though. And if you did, please go back and re-listen to some of our past episodes, which you can find on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And then make sure to also go to our YouTube channel, where Al is graciously putting up different segments of the show, which this is just going to be one big-ass long segment.
I've been trying to figure out how I'm going to divide it right now.
I don't even think you can.
I think we can find a way to salvage 3 segments. It's not going to be clean.
Well, good luck, my friend.
It's going to be, we're going to get it done.
So, folks, please come back and listen to us next week. Listen to us the week after and the week after, because we ain't going to fucking stop. I heard a good quote the other day. There are no such thing as failures, just quitters.
Yes.
And I was like, that's a really good one. I like that.
Yeah. A update on YouTube. The Obi-Wan rants are almost all up there. We have one more that is going to go up tomorrow.
Dude, please listen to those.
And then you will be able to go on and find all of the Obi-Wan Kenobi is going to be up, or as it's been titled on YouTube, Obi-Wan Can Oh No.
Oh no.
And
I can't wait. I'm going to have to go listen to those again.
So really fun getting those up. Gotten some good views. Good. I will say the thing that's gotten the most views so far, a review of Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Really? Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So
I'd like to hear that.
Until next week, friends and enemies, we will be here. You can find me at jutsumstudios.work or on YouTube.
I was working on the website. I got off track because of the family issues this week, but I will get back on track, I promise.
I did want to give a shout out. Our logo is by Kortney Howell.
It's so awesome.
And our theme is by Brendan Williams and James Connelly. And we will be back with more Nerd Rage next week.
Let me tell you, Rage is some of our best episodes.
It's what we make our bread and butter on, kids.
Yes!